Welcome to episode 143 of the most must-see show to ever hit the Bedford TV airwaves, or any airwaves that matter, north, south, east, west, backwards, frontwards, sideways, any which way you look at it, all around the world. The award-winning Wrestling Connection. I'm your host, as always, your connection to the wrestling world, the fedorable felon himself, Mr. Ken Hill. And of course, on this Thanksgiving, the eve of Thanksgiving, where it's all about how thankful you are and the friends and family you share your life with, we have one sole member of the WK Krew here today. Of course,
I'm here, Ken.
Our brand new three-time WK King of Pay-Per-View champion, Mr. 8-Ball himself, the one-stop magic shop, Mr. Nick Julio.
That's me. I win.
Yep. Well, I'll be the first to admit I did not have the best weekend at Survivor. I did not have the best weekend at Survivor Series.
No, you did not.
No, I actually came in last.
Did you actually come in last?
I actually came in last. I mean, happens to the best of us. And I mean, the old saying goes, fortune favors the bold. You made some bold predictions. I'd say you accounted for yourself very well at Survivor Series. You did very well.
Thank you.
I applaud you for that. But here's the thing.
Thank you.
Fortune does favor the bold. It does take bold predictions to win that championship. Coming from someone who's won it 9 times, however, I tell you this, Nick, it takes a sharp mind to keep that championship.
It's not my mind. It's the 8-Ball, so.
While 8-Ball
You
runs on
to the
fortune and mystical, magical luck, luck runs out at some point.
Eventually, but not for me.
Oh, we'll see.
I doubt it.
We'll see. So anyway, like I said, yeah, of course, like I said, Survivor Series this past Sunday. So now, of course, today on, of course, like I said, Thanksgiving Eve, our special early bird, an early bird edition of the Wrestling Connection. It's our paper review,
Review, not pay.
Yeah, paper review,
You said preview.
Yeah, review. Although I did like the preview video from last week.
You did? Good.
No, we need to get that up online.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it is? It's online?
The video itself or the actual?
Well, no, I mean like the actual preview, Survivor Series preview video.
Like the whole, like the promo or the whole episode?
The promo.
Oh, well, we'll get that up online.
Oh no, yeah, we need to get that's separate. That was sepic. We need to do that again.
Every song that had Survivor in it, well, I put it there.
Yeah, I mean,
I put it there.
Last week, folks, if you were looking for every Survivor cliche you could ever possibly think of and put into one video, last week was it. So look out for that.
I did it.
Oh yeah, you did. All right.
I started with "I Will Survive."
Oh,
no, I didn't. I did it with Katy Perry.
Well, I mean, we all
with "Rise," because there's only one time she says it, and it was the first beats of the song, so it was great.
Yeah, I think the viewers, anyone who missed last week, they just need to see the episode for themselves. It really, words do not do the video justice.
I thought you were gonna cry because you were in so much torture.
It was beautiful. In hindsight, it was beautiful. I wept. I cried.
Thank you.
Mostly because I was trying to not bust a gut. Pretty much. So 'twas beautiful.
'Twas beautiful.
But anyway, we must move on. All right. So Survivor Series was this past Sunday. Oh yeah, it was. No, really. Okay. So
Let's review.
We kicked things off with the first of 3 Survivor Series elimination matches, this being the women's elimination match. Team Raw, headed by Raw Women's Champion Charlotte, versus Team SmackDown, seemingly headed by Nikki Bella, of all people, John Cena.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. Only to find out that right before the match, some mysterious assailant took out Nikki Bella. And of course, Natalia, the player, who turned out to be the player coach for SmackDown, volunteered to fill in her place. Now, while Natalia did manage elimination, she was not a huge factor in this match. The match, it was a solid opening match. Plenty of fun back and forth between the two teams right here. Nia Jax looking as every bit as dominant as she should have been for Team Raw. I could have done without the anticlimactic way she got eliminated just by Becky Lynch tapping her out. I mean, you could at least say, okay, hey, it took the women's champion from SmackDown to eliminate her. So I suppose you had a little tit for tat right there. But regardless, it ended up coming down to Becky Lynch for SmackDown versus Charlotte and Bayley for Raw. Becky fought her best, but unfortunately it resulted in Bayley getting the final elimination with the Bayley to Belly. Seemed like all was well on Team Raw, only for Charlotte to, surprise, surprise, assault Bayley from behind and lay her out at ringside. So on the one hand, it does give Bayley a big time rub at Survivor Series, getting the final elimination and be on the winning team. And of course, with Charlotte assaulting her, you more or less guarantees that Bayley will be at least a future opponent of Charlotte's somewhere down the line. As we found out that the following night on Raw, Sasha Banks would be cashing in her obligatory rematch from Hell in the Cell, and she and Charlotte will be facing off for the Women's Championship next week on Raw, this time from Charlotte's hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. Should be a very interesting situation to see if they are going to go with a straight-up Bayley versus Charlotte, or if they'll maybe switch gears here and go with Bayley versus Sasha for the Women's Championship on Raw in the near future. Either way, we're looking forward to a very entertaining feud. Now, moving on from there, we had I believe the Intercontinental Championship match. That being The Miz defending against Sami Zayn. Now, they stated clearly that I know, I did. I honestly wish I had done better this weekend.
Yes, you do.
This was a match, sadly, as soon as I heard what they stated about this match, I knew I wasn't gonna fare well in this. They stated clearly that if Zayn won, that the title would be brought over to Raw. It wouldn't mean that Zayn was brought over to SmackDown, which I thought would happen. So that was a miscalculation on my part. So I knew I probably should have gone the other way on this. Anyway, look at it. It was a very competitive match. Lots of fun near falls here, but Miz being Miz, Zayn doing his typical zany, zany. Bump. Yeah, you 2-1. Greg, I forgot to mention that Greg actually did win the Big 4 pay-per-view championship. He actually beat out Brian for a tie coming out of the main event tiebreaker. So congratulations to Greg on that. Sadly, he couldn't be here due to immediate family emergency, but we wish Greg nothing but the best. On that note, I also want to send Thanksgiving shout-outs to Zach and Julian. And if anyone was keeping an eye on Facebook this past weekend, I want to send my congratulations out to Zach and the future Mrs. Anaconda Wolf, Miss Ashley Infusey, Zach's girlfriend, now fiance. Zach recently proposed to Ashley over the weekend. She, of course, accepted, and I mean, honestly, dude, can't wait. Congrats to you, and I'm looking forward to the wedding. All right, so anyway,
love. Should we do some Love Connection too?
The Love Connection. No. Let's save that for later. All right, so anyway, like I said, back to the match. Again, a very competitive match between these two. Of course, we had a very Survivor Series callback with a screw job in Canada. Big shocker. WWE has a hard time letting that one go. I mean, you had Zayn trapping Miz in Miz's own move, the figure four. Maurice goes over, rings the bell, causing Zayn to think he's won the match, and stupid enough to actually go over and see who actually run the bell, giving Miz more than enough time to roll Zayn up for the 3 count. Now, I mean, here's the thing. I like the match itself. The ending was lousy, okay? We don't need a screw job finish every time we're up in Canada. I mean, HBK and Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart pretty much put this whole thing to rest 6 years ago. So why is it that WWE feels the need to bring it up like every time we're in Canada? I mean, 6 years after the fact. I mean, like over nearly 20 years after the fact. Let it go. Okay? Bottom line. And I mean, the problem is, and the thing is, when you have a screw job finish like this, you would expect some sort of fallout. We really can't because Zayn is still on Raw and Miz is on SmackDown. And we're probably not going to see these two fight again until Royal Rumble. And by that time, it'll be in the actual Royal Rumble match. So, I mean, no real point to having a screwy finish here, other than just to keep Miz as the cowardly champion. All right, so moving on from there, we come to the tag team. This is the second of 3 Survivor Series elimination matches, the tag team elimination match, where if one member of a tag team was pinned, his partner was also eliminated. Now, of course, with 20 men, okay, the action was a big muddled mess at the start. All right, a lot of confusion here and there. As the team started to narrow out, with New Day being shockingly one of the first eliminated, which told you that this match wasn't going to go in the direction we thought it would. With New Day being eliminated right away by the Usos, it really kind of established the point that this was going to be a different kind of elimination match. I mean, eliminations came quickly. It all boiled down to Sheamus and Cesaro for Raw versus the Usos for SmackDown. Now, like I said, when we started trimming the fat from this match, when we started whittling down... Oh, you wish.
Sorry, what was it?
Yeah, you wish. You wish. All right, so the point being is, as soon as we started eliminating teams from both sides, the quality of the match steadily improved to the point where when the final sprint with Cesaro and Sheamus for Raw versus the Usos for SmackDown, we got a great quality tag team match right here with lots of amazing near falls and false finishes. I mean, back and forth action right here. You had Usos pointing out the subtle heel tactics. You had Cesaro and Sheamus powering through. And ultimately, it came down to Cesaro being able to withstand submission long enough to reverse it into the sharpshooter, this on Jey Uso. Before Jimmy could cut it off, Sheamus barrels in with a bro kick, knocking out Jimmy, and Jey has no choice but to tap out, giving the victory to Team Raw. Now, continuity-wise, this turned out very well for Cesaro and Sheamus, as they would be awarded for being the sole survivors of Team Raw, and would receive a tag team championship match the following night against the New Day. Now, Cesaro and Sheamus were fast closing in the tag team titles, much like Sunday night. Cesaro had Kofi in the sharpshooter, middle of the ring, and Sheamus had taken out his partner Big E at ringside, only for Xavier Woods to distract the ref long enough for the ref to avoid seeing Kofi tapping out. So we see that the fact that now the record, the Demolition's tag team championship record, is fully being acknowledged by the New Day, and now you've got all these tag teams coming out of the woodwork, Cesaro and Sheamus, and of course then you have Anderson and Gallows, who won a number one contenders match later in the night on Monday night. So they'll be facing New Day next week for the tag team titles. So now you've got a lot of teams that are trying to knock off the New Day before they can break Demolition's record. So it's nice to see that they've got a working storyline here, that the New Day are desperate to hold on to those tag team titles, and you've got other tag teams on Raw who are equally more or even more desperate to knock the New Day off their perch before they can break said record. Yeah, Nick, I got it. You won. I'm trying to be a good sport about that.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you.
I could go low.
Man,
You don't think
I forget how many teams were left in this. Was it one or two?
No, I mean there was only one team left in this. Cesaro and Sheamus they were the last team for Raw.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, Soul Survivors. Sorry. I mean that was just kind of a sticking point for me. They called Charlotte and Bayley the Soul Survivors. I mean, the thing is, the key terminology with the Soul Survivor is that Soul Survivor implies there's only one survivor. Okay, not two people. I mean, in this case, literally there could only be one tag team. So yeah, I mean, here Soul Survivors made sense, but nowhere else does it make sense. Soul Survivors should mean like only one woman from either team survived, only one man from either team, SmackDown or Team Raw survived. This was the only time where Soul Survivors made sense. Just saying. Just a little wrestling terminology there for y'all. All right, so, and then we find on the SmackDown side, that there was a tag team turmoil match to determine the number one contender for Heath Slater and Rhino's tag team championships. Now, of course, this is a very competitive match. Lots of fast action right here. The winners surprisingly turned out to be American Alpha, but, and we'll talk about this later tonight, it turns out that American Alpha isn't quite in the catbird seat as far as challenging for the tag team's titles, as we found out that they have another challenge to face next week in Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. And I'll explain why in just a little bit. Well, moving on from the Tag Team Survivor Series match, we come to another essential match for SmackDown, which was the Cruiserweight Championship match. The Brian Kendrick, defending against SmackDown's Kalisto. Now, this match was essential because if Kalisto won the championship, they did actually state that. So again, I stand corrected. They did state that if Kalisto won the championship, he would bring both the championship and the entire cruiserweight division over to SmackDown.
Is Kendrick a Raw guy?
Yeah, Kendrick's a Raw guy.
Okay.
I mean, that's the whole point I was trying to make here. If Kalisto won, he would bring the title along with Kendrick and the entire cruiserweight division from Raw over to SmackDown. There you go. All right. So again, this was much like with Brian Kendrick's feud with T.J. Perkins. You had Kendrick's heel savvy and technical prowess versus Kalisto's high flying antics. You had Kendrick spending a big part of the match trying to ground Kalisto. Now, it was a good match in of itself. There's no doubt about that. It was a great match. But the problem being is that they were coming off the Tag Team Survivor Series match and a whole lot of action right there. Yet you were trying to give the audience a chance to cool off, and unfortunately, these two ended up kind of in the dead slot, more or less. They ended up trying to perform in front of a crowd that just wasn't really having it. That was trying to recover themselves from all the action of the previous match. And that's my problem. For some reason now, whereas the women used to take up the spot, now you got the cruiserweights kind of taking up the slack as far as the dead spot goes in pay-per-views, which is kind of frustrating because you're trying to build up the cruiserweight division as something meaningful and worthwhile, and yet you're not giving them the opportunity to get the kind of pops and adulation that cruiserweights normally get. I mean, they're known for high flying and great technical prowess and everything else. And instead, you're not really giving them a chance because you're putting them you're behind the 8 ball as far as their positioning on a pay-per-view card. It's a very frustrating notion because you want to care about the cruiserweights, yet WWE isn't really giving us a reason to care about these guys, except for like the 205 live show they've got coming up. They've got debuting next Tuesday. So until then, I mean, and even then, will we truly have a reason to care about the cruiserweight division? So far, WWE hasn't done anything to convince me, and I don't think they've done anything to convince anyone to truly care about the cruiserweight division. Give us a reason beyond meaningless 6-man tag team matches and like goofy, shallow characters. Give us a reason to care about the cruiserweight division, WWE. Give us a reason. I'm begging you. All right, so moving on from that, moving on from the cruiserweight match, we come to the third and final Survivor Series elimination match, the men's elimination match. Team Raw, headed by Universal Champion Kevin Owens, versus Team SmackDown, headed by WWE World Champion AJ Styles. Now, there was lots of personal animosity between the two teams going in this match. However, there was also a lot of infighting amongst the teams themselves. Whereas you had Owens having his difference with Rollins and Reigns. Of course, Jericho mixed up in that. Braun just being on Team Braun, being Braun. You had AJ and Ambrose who couldn't get along. You had Bray and Orton who were the proverbial wild cards. Now, again, I have to state for the record, Corbin was not in the match. He was taken out by Kalisto as revenge for taking him out for the last couple of months, replaced by Shane McMahon. Now, I forgot to mention in the previous match that the way it ended, Kendrick did win and retain the championship, but only because he was assaulted first by Baron Corbin, who caused Kalisto to get DQ'd, keeping the championship with Kendrick and keeping the title on Raw. So that was just a little continuation right there. I mean, it was actually good continuity right there. And it actually made sense from a storyline standpoint. Corbin comes out, costs Kalisto the championship, then assaults him. Actually makes sense from a writing standpoint. And for once, I give the WWE writers credit for getting one little point right. You got one right, WWE. Try to keep it up. All right, so the point being is Corbin was taken out by Kalisto, replaced by Shane McMahon for SmackDown. Now, Shane certainly took more than his share of lumps in this match. Code breakers, big boots, putting a diving elbow on Strowman through an announcer's table, taking a mid-air spear on a coast-to-coast, taking a mid-air spear from Roman Reigns, which looked, I mean, folks, you have to see this for yourself. It was nasty. I mean, just the way Shane hit the mat after the spear, he was like knocked out to the point where he had no idea where he was. The refs basically just couldn't even count the pinfall. They had to eliminate Shane based purely on just the fact that he was knocked for a loop. He was out of there. He was long gone. So just being said, I mean, kudos to Shane just for being able to hang with the boys and take his lumps. Now, that being said, you have to understand, we all have to understand that we knew going into the whole Goldberg-Lesnar mega match, it wasn't going to be a long match. I mean, and we were at the point where it was 9:30. You still had an hour and a half to go for this 4-hour pay-per-view. You knew they were going to try and stretch out this match as long as possible. But the problem is they stretched it out too far. And, oh, God, there were some parts that were just boring and put me to sleep. Like, I mean, you had so many heat segments that just dragged on and on and on. And, I mean, it was so much time between eliminations that, I mean, you kind of lost yourself at some points. It really wasn't until the second half of the match where they finally got the ball rolling on this match. You had, I mean, the eliminations were kind of were interesting to say the least. I mean, you had Ambrose being one of actually being the first eliminated from Team SmackDown because of a bit of inaction from AJ Styles, because they literally couldn't keep their hands and fists off each other, leading to Ambrose getting jumped by Strowman, laid out with a power slam, and being the first eliminated. I'll touch on that in a little bit. Then you had Owens, surprise, surprise, being one of the first eliminated because he took Jericho's list, smacked AJ Styles over the head with it, causing him to get disqualified. And then Jericho, instead of capitalizing, like Owens so aptly pointed out the following night, instead of capitalizing, spent so much time picking up his list, trying to recover all of his deepest, darkest secrets, led to Jericho getting an RKO from Orton and being eliminated himself. Then, even after Shane drove an elbow through Strowman, through the table, Strowman still somehow was managing to make it to the ring and was going to beat the count out. But then, of all people to eliminate Strowman, ended up being SmackDown mascot James freaking Ellsworth, who grabbed Strowman's leg from underneath the ring, causing Strowman to get counted out. Of course, Strowman would make Ellsworth pay, beating him all the way up to the stage and driving him through a few tables at ringside. Yikes! So, I mean, kudos to WWE for being able to get rid of their version, WWE's version of Rudy and the Monster Strowman all at the same time. Kudos to them. So ultimately, it boiled down to, at once Shane had been eliminated as well, it came down to AJ, Bray, and Orton versus Reigns and Rollins. Now, this is the stupidest part of the match, Nick, and I think you've got to agree with me on this. You had AJ and the Wyatts versus Roman and Rollins. I mean, you had AJ in the ring. Then suddenly, here comes Ambrose. And out of nowhere, he starts assaulting AJ.
Well, okay.
Beat him in and around the ring. He gets
Aren't they on the same team?
Yeah, they were on the same team. He rightfully gets pulled off of AJ, escorted out by security. You see Reigns and Rollins actually looking at this, observing this. They look at each other, and then just start beating on security, clearing them all out. They all start beating on AJ. Mind you, Ambrose's teammate beating down on him. So we got, God forbid, 4 years later, we've got an impromptu Shield reunion.
Okay.
Drive AJ through a table with a Shield powerbomb, vintage Shield, and Rollins pins AJ for the elimination.
So it was Reigns and Rollins were the final two?
Yeah, Reigns and Rollins were the final two.
I could have picked that one.
And, well, yeah, anyone could have picked that. And thanks to Ambrose, AJ was eliminated. Now, here's the thing. We all know Ambrose's character. When Ambrose feels like he's been slighted, he will wreak a terrible vengeance on you. We all know that. But here's the thing. We've seen in years past that he's usually smart enough to know when to pull off said vengeance at the right time. This was not the right time.
No.
This could not have been a worse time to pull off. I mean, yes, for the moment, the Shield reunion was great. For a moment, it was great. It got a nice big pop from the Toronto crowd. That was all well and good. But okay, I mean, it just makes Ambrose's character so much more unlikable because he was stupid enough and had enough tunnel vision to nearly cost Team SmackDown the victory. I say nearly because of what happens next. So now it's down to Reigns and Rollins versus Orton and Wyatt. It seems like now here's the thing. Rollins seemingly had Wyatt laid out, going for the big time frog splash, But out of nowhere, you know where I'm going with this, out of nowhere, Randy Orton with a big-time mid-air RKO, catching Rollins in mid-flight, laying him out and setting him up for Bray Wyatt to pin him for the 1-2-3, leaving it down to, of course, Toronto's favorite son, Roman Reigns. And I say that with every bit of sarcasm that I can possibly muster, because the entire Toronto crowd was all over Reigns. From the entrance to every time he stepped in the ring to when they realized that he could potentially be the sole survivor for Raw. And, oh, good Lord, there was... Oh. He was more hated than Shawn Michaels in Canada. Oof. And that's saying something. You know that's saying something. The fact that Reigns is probably getting more heat in that one night than Shawn Michaels ever did in Toronto, in Canada. Oh, my God. It was ridiculous. It was hilarious. It was ridiculous. So anyway, it seems like Reigns is getting ready to eliminate Bray. I mean, because suddenly Harper pops up at ringside, but Reigns takes him out with a spear. Seems like he's closing in on Wyatt with a spear. But Orton ends up taking the bullet for Wyatt, taking the spear meant for Wyatt, opening up Wyatt opportunity to lay out Reigns with Sister Abigail, getting the pin for Team SmackDown. Orton and Wyatt, your sole survivors for Team SmackDown. So SmackDown did get a little comeuppance at the end, winning the men's elimination match. Now, what I was getting to before was that Bray and Orton would be rewarded with an opportunity at the tag team titles, where the winner of Tag Team Turmoil, that being American Alpha, would face Orton and Wyatt, and whoever wins that match next week on SmackDown will face Heath Slater and Rhino for the tag team championships at Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, which is, well, oh, hey, it's coming up a week. It's coming up a week from Sunday. Go figure.
Sweet, really?
Oh yeah,
So next week is another preview.
Yeah, you're gonna have to shine out that championship really nice.
All right. Well.
I mean, because hey, you don't got just me to worry about. You got Greg to worry about now.
Oh yeah.
And he could cash in that Big Four pay-per-view, that bad boy, anytime. So you best be careful.
I will try my best.
All right. So I mean, there was that. I mean, and just the fallout from that. I mean, you had Shane acknowledging that, well, at least try to acknowledge the fact that Ambrose nearly cost his team the match. Ambrose just seemingly wasn't listening, completely ignorant. And you also have to wonder back to Undertaker's prophetic words about what would happen if anything were to befall, if any sort of unfortunate fate were to befall Team SmackDown, that would there be consequences, and they would have to answer to the dead man. So it begs the question as to what's going to happen with Ambrose. I mean, is he going to suffer any consequences for nearly costing SmackDown the victory?
He should.
I mean, he should. Storyline-wise, within the logic, the realm of professional wrestling, the realm of WWE, he should suffer some sort of consequences. And I think we may see that at TLC, maybe perhaps in the form of The Undertaker. You never know. I mean, we'll see. All right, so we move on to the main event of the evening, and I gotta use that term just a little bit loosely, just based on what we saw here. Now, I'll be frank, this is the one that took me by surprise. The last time a match result took me this much by surprise involved Brock Lesnar, going all the way back to WrestleMania 30. Actually, our first, if I'm not mistaken, our first WrestleMania pay-per preview. Like, I mean, just the fact that...
it was before my time, so
it was before your time, obviously, but pretty much everyone said that Undertaker was going to win that match versus Lesnar.
And I believe Lesnar won.
Lesnar won, yeah. It took everyone by surprise.
Greg picked that one.
And look, going into this one, I thought it was simple. Lesnar beats up on Goldberg, enters him in front of his wife and son. Goldberg is inspired to train more and more and more, to train heavy and hard, come back, like maybe cost Lesnar a Royal Rumble or something, do something to instigate a rematch with Lesnar at the biggest stage of them all, WrestleMania 33, in San Antonio. But actually, no, it's not San. No, what am I saying? Sorry, my bad. But the point being is that's all pretty much how we all thought it would go down. Greg was the only one who said that Goldberg was going to win.
Yep.
And even he wasn't too sure about that one. I mean, so that tells you right there. That tells you right there that no one really thought that Goldberg had a chance going into this. But what happens?
I didn't give him a chance.
I mean, no one gave him a chance. Everyone thought Lesnar was going to steamroll him just like everyone else. Because, I mean, oh, God forbid, they haven't put anyone else. They haven't actually put anyone on the main roster, on the active roster over Brock Lesnar. So who would think that they would put this 50-plus-year-old over their special attraction? Apparently Vince McMahon, because Goldberg comes out strong, hits one spear, hits two spears, jackhammer, pinfall. I'm not joking. That was it. Two spears, one jackhammer.
So how long did this match last?
A minute and 30 seconds.
That's
1 minute and 30 seconds.
I should have picked that.
I wish I had picked that myself.
You would have laughed. Actually, I can't pick it with my the way I do match time. I can't pick that.
I mean, because
I go double digits on minutes.
I went double digits, and even I was the closest, and even I was still over by 15 minutes. That tells you, just like
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I picked like what 16 minutes.
Yeah, a little more.
Yeah, 16 minutes 30 seconds.
Yeah,
right?
I had 16:35.
Yeah, 16:30, and I was off by 15 minutes. So go figure. So I get where they were coming from with this. You had the whole feel-good story right here. You had Goldberg wrestling for the first time in front of his son and his wife, who had never gone to see him wrestle during his heyday 12, 13 years ago, which was all well and good. Now you have Goldberg as a more active participant on WWE. They have him going towards the Royal Rumble. They have him being the first official entrant. So they have Goldberg now in a WWE Films movie. He apparently has got a big time payday from WWE and Vince McMahon that trumps even, pardon the pun, that trumps even Lesnar's payday from WWE. So that tells you something right there, that they actually have a considerable investment in Goldberg, at least for the next few months. So that tells you right there that this was never going to be just a one-time thing with Goldberg. No. So the one thing we can obviously look forward is to just getting the feeling that Lesnar is going to be ruminating and steaming over the fact that he was just outright embarrassed by Goldberg, abjectly humiliated, and, to quote Paul Heyman, victimized by Goldberg. The fact that now Goldberg is 2-0 over Lesnar, something that the only one other person in their entire career could say, John Cena. What does that tell you? So the one thing we could probably look forward to is that Goldberg will probably dominate the Royal Rumble. Lesnar comes in, beats up on Goldberg so bad that he's forced onto the injured list. Goldberg trains, he recovers, he trains, and challenges Lesnar to one more ultimate rematch at WrestleMania. So on one hand, we get to look forward to that. On the other hand, at least probably now, hopefully, we don't have to worry about a Brock Lesnar-Shane McMahon match at WrestleMania. We probably don't have to worry about that anymore, folks. You never say never, but hopefully we don't have to worry about that, because Lord knows I just don't want. It would pretty much be like watching Shane McMahon rabbit punch a brick wall. That's what it would look like. So, thankfully, we have a Goldberg-Lesnar rematch to look forward to at WrestleMania, most likely with some big-time final stipulation like a street fight or a cage match or something or other, really to put a significant end to the Lesnar Goldberg saga. So like I said, Goldberg entered into the Royal Rumble. So now at least we got a bead on the Royal Rumble next for January. So it should be interesting to see how that shapes up. So like I said, I mean that's the whole kit and caboodle for Survivor Series. I mean, just overall, I thought it was a nice showing, and most people would say for the main event, how could they do a minute and a half? I mean, here's the thing: they were going for shock value. They were going for a big time shock factor, even more so with Goldberg getting the win here. They got the big time crowd reaction. They got even bigger time pop from Goldberg saying he's entering the Royal Rumble. So I think for once, I mean, usually when WWE takes a gamble, it doesn't fare well for them. This is one time they took a big time gamble and it paid off for them. You got the reaction you wanted. Now you got the reaction you want for Goldberg, and now they can ride that going into the Royal Rumble. So ultimately, WWE won out on this one. And yes, of course, so did Nick and Greg. But
yes, we did.
Blah blah blah. So anyway, that is all for Survivor Series. Six matches up, 6 matches down. So now we've got the SmackDown solo pay-per-view coming up. Tables, ladders, and chairs. We've already got several matches announced. We've got Ambrose challenging AJ Styles for the WWE World Championship in a TLC match. We've got Dolph Ziggler challenging The Miz for his Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match. We've got Baron Corbin versus Kalisto in a chairs match. We've got Heath Slater and Rhino defending the tag team titles against either American Alpha or Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. Should be interesting to see where the whole Orton-Wyatt dynamic goes, whether they'll have Orton and Wyatt face off for the tag team titles, or they might just pull the whole trigger, because we all know it's coming. It's like the RKO. You know it's coming, but when is it coming? We're just all waiting for Orton to pull the trigger here and see where this whole thing with him and Bray Wyatt goes. It'd be interesting to see what happens next week on SmackDown. So we have that. So we'll likely have some sort of tables match thrown in there. Lord knows who will be in that one. So anyway, should be an interesting pay-per-view to call next week on our TLC pay-per preview view. Should be very interesting indeed. Then in a couple weeks later, we'll have WWE Roadblock, a Raw pay-per-view installment. That should be an interesting pay-per-view to call as well, just considering the potential build-up we have going on there. Not to mention the rumored main event being United States Champion Roman Reigns versus Universal Champion Kevin Owens. How will that come about? Lord only knows. All right. So that being said, the TLC paper preview is next week. For now, for Nick, for everyone else, I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time with your friends and family. I know I will. I know I'll probably be gorging myself on turkey and stuffing and all that good Thanksgiving fare.
Yummy deliciousness.
Looking forward to that. We will be going by our new paper preview time, which will be every Friday now at 4 p.m. Our regular shows will still be every Thursday at noon. Remember, every regular show is Thursday at noon. Our new paper preview times will be at every Friday at 4 p.m. So stay tuned for that and keep an eye out for that. So in the meantime, for Nick and for everyone else here at the Wrestling Connection in Bedford TV, I want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving and see you all next Friday. And remember, as always, be connected, get connected, stay connected.
Get connected. And
Happy
then
Thanksgiving,
Stay
everyone.
connected, right? Be, get, and stay. Is that the right
Be-
word?
Be, get, stay.
Wonderful. All right,
Be,
Ken.
get, stay.
All right, Ken. Sing us home.
I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's some things that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the Wrestling Connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me.